Today I thought I'd crank this thing up to top speed. You know, live dangerously and sand some wood. Well, here goes nothing. Strap in and take cover. I'm going to start using this at the rabbit speed because sanding takes forever. Huh, look at that. Not what I was expecting. Well, I have enough dust bunnies in my shop, so I guess I need to find a new home for these girls. Maybe a nice little cottage in the country. As luck would have it, I found the cutest chicken coop made by Gina over at Lady Goats. She palled up with Anna White, who created some great step-by-step plans. I'll make sure to link both of their blogs down below so you can make your own. Now, since this will be for a bunny hutch, I wanted mine to be just a little bit smaller so that my husband and I could move it every so often and give the bunnies some fresh grass. For the outer structure, I used a full sheet of primed T11. I really like the look that it has. It's kind of rough and it has a real barn feel to it. Just make sure that you cut the front and the back reversed. I accidentally cut both of mine facing the same way. I had to cut it and piece it back together. Rather than building a lower section and an upper section, as the plans called for, I ran the 2x4s the full distance. Since we will be moving the structure, I wanted it to be really solid. I attached it with screws, and I made sure to put the screws in areas where trim would cover it later. I framed out the inside with 2x4s. When attaching to other 2x4s, I used pocket hole screws. And when attaching to the siding, I used screws right through the side. Again, making sure that I was putting the screws in areas where they could be covered up with trim later. Once I got all my siding on and my support beams in, I used 1/2-inch plywood for the roof and screwed it in. Making sure to overhang at the bottom slightly, but not the sides, since I wanted the trim to match up exact. Now that I have the outer frame complete, it's time to move to the inside. I cut some 2x4s in half, essentially making 2x2s. These boards will help support the frame and will also be used to attach the wire to. I cut them in half just to cut down on the total weight of the hutch. Since, as I had said, we plan to be moving it around, I wanted to watch how heavy it got. Fun fact about these cute furry friends: they will chew a hole right through the side of their house. So to keep this from happening, I lined the hutch's sides with wire, just so that it would make it really hard for them to chew through. I'm using 1-inch staples to hold the wire to the 2x2s. Not my brightest idea. I got way too excited and put the wire all on the inside before I cut the hole in the front. So make sure you don't get ahead of yourself, because this was a royal pain trying to cut this with the wire on the inside. So some of you may have noticed that the plans do not call for this. And this is something that I added. I really like having a big open area in the front to see the bunnies and to attach their food and water to. So I cut open this big area just to give them that space. After cutting the opening, I framed it with 2x2s. These will hold the wire tight and provide a backing for the trim pieces that will go on later. I attached 3 2x2s for the support of the floor. The wire on the bottom will lay over them, and I'll be able to attach the wire to them with 1-inch staples. From here, I moved to the side where the doors will be. I applied a 2x2 along the top. Then I used a cut-up fence board for the framing. Once that was done, I was able to fit the doors. As luck would have it, the opening fit 4 fence posts across perfectly, so I didn't have to rip them down in size. I made the hutch some cute barn doors using fence boards and some 1x2 scraps. The reason I chose fence boards for some of the hutch is because it was an inexpensive way to get cedar, which will hold up well outdoors, the thickness that I wanted, and I really liked the roughness of the wood. It gave it the rustic barn feel that I was just really going for. These doors are held together with lots of waterproof glue and brad nails. Using the fence boards again, I trimmed around the front opening and attached it with wood glue and nails. For the siding, I cut the fencing into 3 equal pieces using the table saw. They ended up being about 1 inch each. I used these pieces for the top trim and to give it the board and batten look. This small extra detail in the trim is what really set this hutch out from all the rest to me. I felt it gave it that extra charm and honestly the look that I would want in a house. A crucial step that you don't want to miss is using caulking. I used paintable siding caulk on all of the seams that I planned to paint. This just makes it look like one piece without any gaps. This is kind of hard to explain, but if you have ever skipped this step, then you totally know what I'm talking about. The little gaps and areas that just don't look quite right in your paint. I used a high-quality exterior paint. I used my local hardware store's brand of paint, and then I get it color matched to Sherwin-Williams Alabaster. Quality and color that I'm looking for at the price that I want to pay. I really like the color I chose. I think the white looks really good with the cedar accents of the roofing and the bottom trim piece, as well as with the black details in the hardware. On to the removable tray. The plan suggests using plywood, however, I think it would get really gross. So I decided to use the plastic tray that I already had. This way I can hose it down every few weeks. I used 2x2s to set up a frame that the tray will slide along. I put it down a few inches from the floor to allow plenty of room when removing it. My current hutch has the tray so close up to the floor that as I pull out the tray, poop and shavings get pushed off and into the grass below. So there's going to be 2 sections, and you can see the bottom section I set up right down here. There's a board that goes along the outside that's equal with the 2x4s on the outside so that it can hold wire. Then I put one on the inside just in this lower area, as well as 2 supports so that when I slide in the tray here, it'll slide in and fit in there while being supported by these support beams down here. So I put in a piece of fencing right here, and that's just to stop the tray. So when the tray goes in, it only goes this far. Whew! This has been a long time to get this far. I still have a long way to go, and I will be covering that in part 2. See you in the next video.